73 slaves. That's how it started. 73 men, armed with kitchen knives, escaping from a gladiator school. Rome didn't even notice. 2 years later, that number was 120,000. An army of former slaves, shepherds, farmers, gladiators, had defeated 4 Roman legions, killed both consuls, and was marching toward Rome itself. The greatest empire in history was about to fall to a man who wasn't even allowed to own property. His name was Spartacus. And for 2 years he did the impossible. He made Rome afraid, not of another empire, not of barbarian kings, of their own slaves. This is the story of how 73 kitchen knives nearly brought down the Roman Republic. Here's what we know about Spartacus. And honestly, it's not much. He wasn't Roman. He was Thracian, from what's now Bulgaria. Probably a warrior before he was enslaved. Some sources say he served in the Roman army and deserted. Others say he was captured in war. What we know for certain, by 73 BC he was a gladiator. And not just any gladiator. He was held in the ludus, the gladiator school, of Lentulus Batius in Capua, one of the most famous training grounds in Italy. Now, if you think gladiators lived like celebrities, you're thinking of the survivors. The ones who won enough fights to buy their freedom or retire. Most gladiators, they were slaves. Property. Forced to kill each other for entertainment. They lived in cells, trained under whips, died in the sand, and Spartacus had apparently had enough. In 73 BC, he and 73 other gladiators made a plan. They were going to escape. Or die trying. They didn't have weapons. The ludus kept those locked up. So they grabbed what they could, kitchen knives, cooking skewers, anything sharp, and one night they fought their way out. 73 men, with kitchen utensils, against trained guards, they won. And here's the thing, once they were outside the walls, they didn't just run and hide. They went to Mount Vesuvius. Yeah, that Vesuvius. And they started recruiting. Here's what Rome didn't understand at first. Spartacus wasn't leading a gang of escaped gladiators. He was leading a revolution. Because Rome and Italy in 73 BC, it was full of slaves. Estimates say 1 in 3 people in Italy was enslaved. Farm workers, shepherds, miners, household servants, people who'd been conquered, kidnapped, sold. And when word spread that a group of gladiators had escaped, defeated the local militia, and were camped on a mountain, slaves started running away to join them. Not dozens, not hundreds, thousands. Within weeks, Spartacus had an army of 10,000. Within months, 70,000. And they weren't just running away, they were winning. Rome sent a praetor, a mid-level commander, with 3,000 soldiers to crush the rebellion. Spartacus destroyed them. Rome sent another army, then another. Spartacus kept winning. And here's the genius part. He wasn't just collecting escaped slaves, he was training them. Remember, Spartacus had been a gladiator. He knew combat, he knew tactics, he knew how to turn desperate men into soldiers. He divided his army into units, created cavalry, forged weapons from captured Roman equipment. He turned slaves into legions, and Rome started to panic. Because this wasn't just a slave revolt anymore, this was an army. A real, professional, dangerous army. Led by a man who understood Rome's weaknesses better than most Roman generals. By 72 BC, Spartacus commanded 120,000 men. He defeated 4 Roman legions, killed both consuls of the Roman Republic, and he was standing at the gates of the Alps. He could have walked away, led his people to freedom beyond the mountains, but he didn't. He turned around and marched south, toward Rome. Let's be clear about what was happening here. This wasn't a small problem, this was an existential crisis. Rome was the most powerful state in the Mediterranean. They'd conquered Carthage, defeated Macedon, crushed the Greeks, and now they were losing repeatedly to an army of slaves. Let me give you context. In 72 BC, Spartacus fought and defeated both Roman consuls, the 2 highest-ranking military commanders in the Republic, in separate battles. Consul Gellius, defeated. Consul Lentulus, defeated. Then he defeated a praetor named Cassius. Then he fought his way through Cisalpine Gaul, northern Italy, and defeated the governor. 4 major Roman commanders, all beaten, by an army that shouldn't have existed. And Rome? Rome was terrified, not just because they were losing, because of what they were losing to. If word spread that slaves could rise up, defeat Roman legions, and survive, the entire system collapses. Rome's economy ran on slavery, their agriculture, their mines, their industries. If slaves everywhere decided to rebel, Rome would fall. So they did what Rome always did when desperate. They turned to Marcus Licinius Crassus, the richest man in Rome, a brutal, ambitious politician who wanted military glory to match his wealth. The Senate gave him 8 legions, 40,000 men, and unlimited authority to crush the rebellion by any means necessary. Crassus didn't just want to defeat Spartacus, he wanted to make an example out of him. He reintroduced decimation, an ancient punishment where if a unit fled or failed, 1 man in every 10 was beaten to death by the other 9. His own soldiers. Crassus was telling his men, "You should fear me more than you fear the enemy." And slowly, brutally, he started pushing Spartacus south, into a trap. By 71 BC, Spartacus was in southern Italy, trapped. His plan had been to escape Italy entirely, cross to Sicily where he could continue the fight or disperse his army. He made a deal with Cilician pirates to provide ships. The pirates took his payment and never came back. He was betrayed, and now Crassus had him cornered. Literally. Crassus built a wall across the entire toe of Italy, a 37-mile fortification, trenches, palisades, watchtowers. Spartacus and his 120,000 followers were boxed in. For a while they held. They even broke through the wall once in a desperate night attack. But Crassus had reinforcements coming. Pompey was returning from Spain with another army. Lucullus was arriving from the east. Spartacus was running out of time, and then his army started fracturing. Some wanted to negotiate, some wanted to break north, some wanted to stand and fight. A large group, maybe 30,000 split off under a leader named Crixus. Crassus caught them and slaughtered them. Spartacus had to make a choice. He could scatter his army, let them disappear into the countryside. Many might survive, or he could make one final stand. Force Rome to acknowledge what they'd done, that for 2 years slaves had fought like soldiers, had won like soldiers, had mattered. Spartacus chose to fight. In 71 BC near the Sele River in Lucania, Spartacus faced Crassus's legions. Ancient sources say he killed his own horse before the battle, so his men would know there was no escape, no retreat. If they died as free men. The battle was a massacre. Spartacus fought his way toward Crassus himself. Trying to kill the Roman commander, he didn't make it. Ancient historians say his body was never found, lost among the thousands of dead. 60,000 of his followers died that day. The 6,000 survivors? Crassus had them crucified, every single one. Along the Appian Way, the main road to Rome, he lined the highway with crosses. 6,000 crucified men for 120 miles. A message, a warning. This is what happens when you challenge Rome. So why does Spartacus matter? He lost. His rebellion was crushed. His followers were executed in the most brutal way Rome could imagine. But here's the thing, he almost won. For 2 years, an army of slaves people Rome considered property defeated legion after legion, killed consuls, marched wherever they wanted in Italy. They proved something Rome didn't want proven. That slaves were just people. That if you gave them weapons and leadership and a reason to fight, they were just as dangerous as any Roman soldier. That the entire system was built on a lie. And Rome never forgot. They never had another slave rebellion on that scale. Not because slaves stopped wanting freedom, because Rome made absolutely certain it could never happen again. They militarized the countryside, cracked down brutally on any hint of resistance, made the consequences so horrific that rebellion became unthinkable. Spartacus didn't destroy Rome. but he scared them so badly they changed how they ruled forever. And here's the legacy. For over 2,000 years, Spartacus has been a symbol of resistance, of fighting against impossible odds, of refusing to accept that your station in life is permanent. He's been claimed by revolutionaries, freedom fighters, and rebels of every kind. Because his story says something that still matters, that systems built on oppression are vulnerable, that power isn't permanent, that ordinary people, given the chance, can shake empires. Spartacus died 2,000 years ago, but the idea of Spartacus, that never dies. 73 slaves with kitchen knives became 120,000 warriors, defeated Rome's legions, terrified an empire, and proved that no system lasts forever. If you want more stories about the underdogs who defied empires and the battles that changed everything, subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Because history isn't just about the winners. Sometimes it's about the people who almost won, and why that matters even more. Thanks for watching.